Table of Contents. Chapter 1, 3. Chapter 2, 12. Chapter 3, 18. Chapter 4, 25. Chapter 5, 32. Chapter 6, 38. Chapter 7, 46. Chapter 1. Jim, a 25-year-old male, moves purposefully down the congested roadway. He appears to have spent the entire day looking for work as he holds a resume in city streets. Jim, VO, voiceover, today has been difficult. I've applied everywhere I can think of, but I need someone to hire. I have nothing in my stomach, and I'm losing hope. Jim enters the market intending to purchase some food with his left money. After looking at them, he notices he cannot afford the meat and milk. Jim, I'll have to make do with something else. He ultimately chooses a bag of carrots, some apples, and prunes. Jim has his small supper while sitting on his couch. I purchased carrots, apples, and prunes instead of meat or milk because I could not buy them. I won't be hungry, at least. His phone abruptly rings. His mother is here. Mother, Jim, have you secured employment yet? Is your rent due next month, or must I pay it? Jim, confident, Mom, the job search is going well. Soon, I'll be at work. Mother, well, you'd better find something quickly. I have to stop saving you. Jim ends the call and goes back to eating his modest lunch. Jim sees an older woman fumbling with her goods as she ascends the steps to her home. She lives in her neighborhood. Jim apologies, ma'am. Do you need assistance with that? Woman, gratefully, oh, young man, bless your heart. This would be fantastic. Jim assists the woman in bringing her groceries to the front door. Woman, gratefully, I'm very grateful, sweetheart. Such a lovely boy you are. Jim offers to assist his neighbor in fixing their house in the hopes of being paid, but all he hears is that the neighbor is a kind boy. Jim scans the menu as he walks up to the cashier at the coffee shop. Jim, what can I get for $2? He asks the barista. I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have anything for that price, barista says sympathetically. Jim sighs and makes his way outside. Jim is sitting at a table with an empty plate and a dejected expression at a dark restaurant. He's at a speed dating occasion where attendees get complimentary food from the eatery. Jim scans the room, taking in the conversations and laughter at the other tables. Suddenly, a woman named Amanda arrives with a sizzling, delicious-smelling hot plate. Jim responds, no one has arrived yet. She grins and says, I'm hungry and heading out in 5 minutes. That's if you would like some company. She lays the item on the table and asks, where's your speed date? Jim responds, sure, I'll be here. He hears a fight in the kitchen as they begin to eat. 2 men go. Jim smiles and inquires, would he hire me? Amanda responds, oh no, my father fired more people. Jim enters a bank and goes up to a teller. Jim, hello, do you know if? Amanda, worried, I don't believe my father is now recruiting anyone. Simply put, he had to let some individuals go. Jim dismayed, oh, okay. Thank you nonetheless. Although Jim feels slightly less alone, they finish their meal silently, thanks to Amanda's company. After spending the evening out, Jim returns to his apartment feeling slightly better. He remembers neglecting to check his email as he settled on his couch. He takes out his laptop and finds a message from a business he had earlier in the day applied to. He is expected to appear tomorrow for a job interview. Excitedly, Jim yes. Finally. Jim is getting ready for bed, but he can't help but reflect on the graciousness of the woman who joined him for dinner. He notes to try to repay the favor if he ever has the opportunity. The following morning, Jim gets ready for his interview with a newfound optimism. He dons his finest attire and makes his way to the business office. So, it was branch day. Jim studies his resume while sitting tensely in the waiting area, trying to relax. He is greeted by a woman who identifies herself as the hiring manager. She leads him into a conference room, grilling his background and credentials. Jim tries to answer confidently, but he can't help but feel a little frightened by the posh workplace and the individuals who all appear to be professionals. The hiring manager thanks Jim for his time and informs him that they will contact him after the interview. Jim, with optimism, I'm grateful for the chance. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Jim returns home and enters his flat with trepidation about his employment prospects. When his phone rings, he's just considering what he'll do if he doesn't get it. It's the company's hiring manager. Over the phone, "Hello Jim, we thought your interview was excellent. We want to extend the employment offer to you." Jim, "Wow, that's incredible. I greatly appreciate it." Jim ecstatically hangs up the phone. He still finds it hard to believe he has a job. Jim begins his new career with a sense of success and pride. He puts in a lot of effort and wins the respect of his supervisor, who recognizes his commitment and work ethic. Jim never forgets the woman's generosity in sharing dinner with him and tries to return the favor whenever possible. He offers money to a homeless person he sees on the street, assists an old guy in crossing the road, and volunteers at a nearby soup kitchen. Jim establishes a reputation for himself at the business through his diligence and deeds of compassion, and he subsequently receives a promotion to a management position. Jim watched anxiously as Amanda approached her father to inquire about job prospects. After a short while, Amanda made her way back with a smile. "Amanda," excitedly, "my father stated he needs assistance with restaurant maintenance. Do you have any knowledge of that?" Jim, specific, "I worked for a contractor before I started looking for a job." "Amanda, that's fantastic. He asked me to bring you over tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to discuss the specifics." Jim was delighted and appreciative of Amanda's assistance. He had renewed hope as he finished his supper. Jim and Amanda's father got together at the restaurant the following day. After talking about the specifics of the job, Jim was immediately hired. He couldn't believe his good fortune and couldn't wait to return to work. "Jim, VO, voiceover, things were beginning to turn around for me. I could buy some actual meals after I obtained a job finally." Jim was in the supermarket choosing the supplies for lunch he planned to prepare for Amanda and himself. He was astounded by how drastically his life had altered in such a short period. "I got chicken, rice, and even some ice cream for dessert," says Jim, VO. It was beautiful to have some financial security at last. Jim delivered his prepared supper to Amanda's flat. Jim thanked Amanda for her assistance and support as they ate. "Amanda, I'm glad you and Jim are doing well due to your merit." Jim and Amanda continued their conversation and relished their lunch as they expressed gratitude for their chance meeting. "Jim, VO, it's incredible how one act of kindness can transform your life. Amanda and her father gave me a chance when I needed a chance, and I'm thankful for that. Who knows what the future will bring? This may be the beginning of a fantastic thing." Chapter 2. The words Amanda said made Jim's heart sag. He had no idea how he would survive if he didn't acquire a job soon. But suddenly, it dawned on him. He asked Amanda, "Do you think your father would hire me?" Amanda's expression got happier. She exited the table and walked to the kitchen to talk to her father. "It's worth a shot. Let me talk to him." Jim was impatiently anticipating the break he so desperately needed. After a short while, Amanda made her way back with a smile. "My father said he'll give you a shot," she remarked. "Tomorrow, stop by the restaurant and ask for him." Jim was in awe of his good fortune. With renewed optimism, he thanked Amanda and finished his lunch. He couldn't describe it, but he felt a connection with her as they exited the restaurant together. Jim visited the eatery the following day and inquired about Amanda's father. He was anxious but adamant about leaving a good impression. He introduced himself to the business owner and disclosed that he was seeking employment. Jim received a job offer as a dishwasher after the owner admired his tenacity. Although it wasn't the glamorous job he had hoped for, it was a beginning. Jim put forth much effort and established himself as a trustworthy worker. He was given a promotion to a server job after a few months. Jim started taking Amanda out on dates as soon as his financial condition improved. They eventually got married after falling in love. Jim made it a point to assist those in need since he always remembered the difficult times he faced before landing a job. Jim and Amanda reflected on how far they had come as they sat in their comfortable apartment in Dhaka, Bangladesh, several years later. Jim was glad for every day they spent together because he knew he would not have succeeded without Amanda's assistance and encouragement. One of the fired employees suddenly comes up to their table. He is a former high school classmate that Jim is familiar with. Jim, hey, Steve. Jim, why are you in this place? Well, I was fired today, Steve says apologetically, together with many other guys. Jim, compassionate, man, I'm sorry to hear that. What took place? The boss recently decided he no longer needed us, Steve, angry, without a warning or justification. They were just left. Who is your boss? Amanda asks curiously. Mr. Raman is his name, Steve, bitterly, says. He owns numerous factories in the area. I may have a good suggestion for us, Jim decided. When Jim shares his idea with Steve and Amanda, they immediately agree to assist. They decide to approach Mr. Raman at his workplace about the harsh treatment of his workers. Amanda, Steve, and Jim enter Mr. Raman's office. We need to talk to you about how you treat your staff, Mr. Raman, Jim says sternly. What are you talking about? Mr. Raman asks defensively. You fired a lot of guys without cause or explanation, Steve yells furiously. That is incorrect. And we're here to ensure you know that, Amanda, persuasively. Mr. Raman becomes aware of his disadvantage and begins to retreat. Mr. Raman, look, I apologize if I offended anyone. I had to fire a few individuals due to financial constraints. Jim, adamantly, that isn't acceptable. You must show your workers respect and dignity. Mr. Raman concedes that he will not prevail in this dispute and agrees to rehire all the individuals he dismissed, including Steve. He also consents to providing decent pay and enhancing working conditions. Jim is watching the news on his couch. The reporter applauds Mr. Raman for his new policies while covering his factory. Jim, I find it hard to believe. We had an impact. His phone abruptly rings. Mr. Raman is here. Jim, thank you for opening my eyes, Mr. Raman, gratefully. Now that I know I wasn't treating my workers reasonably, I want to make amends. Jim, humbly, I'm just delighted we could be of use. No, Jim, you didn't just lend a hand. You did more. I want to be a better person because of you. Chapter 3. Jim hangs up the phone with a sense of fulfillment he has never experienced before. He grinned and said, I may have started the day with an empty stomach and wallet, but I ended it with a full heart. They hear a big smash from the kitchen just as Jim and Amanda prepare to leave the establishment. The chef suddenly rushes outside, shouting and circling in circles while carrying a burning pan. Amanda, not again, Dad, exasperated. Jim, perplexed, what's happening? My father just dismissed the majority of the kitchen crew in a fit of wrath, Amanda, frustrated, says. Jim, ironically, well, that's fantastic. It looks like you're in luck, Amanda quips. Our new chef can be you. Jim, ha, I don't believe so. I could improve at cooking. Amanda, teasingly, you must eat, don't you? Why don't you serve as our chief taster? That sounds like a dream job, Jim, smiling. You've been hired, Amanda, giggling. They start laughing again as they return to the table to finish their meal. Jim is in awe at his good fortune but knows that Amanda is his new friend. Jim, voiceover, contented tone, my fortune changed with that. Even though I didn't find a job, I did make a new buddy and get some food. Having a career as a taster isn't all that horrible. As they finish their meals, Jim and Amanda continue to joke around and talk, appreciating how fate brought them together. As they depart the establishment, they wave goodbye to Amanda's father, who is now calmly supervising the kitchen crew. Jim, smiling, it appears that your dad has calmed down. Amanda, for the time being, yes. Jim and Amanda say goodbye with renewed optimism for the future and mutual respect for life's unexpected turns. Jim is eager to experience the adventures ahead and is confident that he will always have his dependable bag of carrots, apples, and prunes at his side. Jim and Amanda exchange numbers as they head out of the restaurant. Jim's employment search will be aided, according to Amanda. Amanda, I'm an employee of my father's construction business. We require assistance with a few ongoing initiatives. I can ask my father to hire you if he wants to. Jim is ecstatic at the possibility of finally getting a job. They split ways after he thanked Amanda. The following day, Amanda calls Jim and offers him a job through her father. Jim jumps with excitement and is overjoyed. Jim, Amanda, thank you so much. You have yet to learn how much I value this. Don't thank me just yet, Amanda. My father is demanding. He has high standards for his workers. Jim, it's all right. I'm prepared to work hard. Jim receives the building site's address from Amanda, who also instructs him to report the following day. Jim shows up the next day prepared to work at the construction site. He meets Mr. Chowdhury, Amanda's father, who gives him his first task. Jim, I need you to move these bricks to the opposite end of the construction site. Jim nods as he begins to carry the bricks. He works non-stop while expending a lot of body heat. But despite his numerous trips, the brick pile seems to stay the same. How many bricks did they order? Jim asks himself. It never ends like this. Mr. Chowdhury suddenly approaches him. Jim, please move these bricks to the opposite side of the construction site for me. Jim's mouth falls open in shock. He finds it hard to believe there are still more bricks to move. Jim, good morning, Mr. Chowdhury. On it, I am. Jim finds writing on the bricks as he prepares to pick them up. It reads, just kidding, in capital letters. Realizing it was all a joke pulled by Amanda and her father, Jim laughs. When he turns around, Mr. Chowdhury and Amanda are laughing uncontrollably. Jim, you guys got me good, you know that. I'm shocked that I gave into it. We had to make sure you were tough enough for the job, Amanda says, laughing. Jim, welcome to the team. Mr. Chowdhury laughs, hello, Jim. Jim begins his first day at the building site feeling appreciative for the practical joke that led to his employment as the three of them shake hands. Jim, sometimes, a little humor is needed to get through difficult situations. The construction site and the bustle of the metropolis of Dhaka are visible when the camera zooms out. Jim gladly accepts Amanda's offer to assist with his CV after she laughs and says she will. The following day, Amanda invites Jim to her father's construction business to meet him. Jim trembles when he hands Amanda's father his resume, but he is impressed by his desire to assist around the restaurant and decides to hire him. Jim, I appreciate you very much, Amanda. How much this means to me, you have no idea. No issue, Amanda, smiling. I was aware that you worked hard and only required a little encouragement. Jim leaves and can't help but reflect on how his luck has improved since meeting Amanda. He giggles to himself as he considers his uncomfortable speed dating encounter. Who knew speed dating would help me land a job? Jim, VO life is incredibly unpredictable. Jim watches the older woman struggle with her goods once more as he strolls along the street. Jim, do you need assistance with that, ma'am? Woman, oh, bless your heart. Woman, gratefully, this would be fantastic. The fact that Jim now has a reliable source of income and can afford to provide a helping hand without expecting anything in return makes him grin. Chapter 4. Jim, VO, voiceover, who knows, the next time I try speed dating, I'll discover love. Jim grins to himself as he once more assists the woman in carrying her groceries to her door. Jim feels his stomach start to grumble and knows he's still hungry. But he is determined to enjoy Amanda's company and make the most of the circumstances. They strike up a conversation and discover they have a lot in common. They enjoy watching cheesy romantic films, traveling, and playing video games. Amanda proposes that they stroll through the park after they finish their supper. Jim concurs, and the two stroll in the garden while savoring the balmy summer evening. They stumble and discover a food truck serving what appear to be delectable tacos as they stroll by. When Jim sees the food, his stomach begins to growl, and he finds it impossible to resist the urge. He asks Amanda if she would also like a taco before announcing he will get one. Amanda declines, claiming she has had enough to eat. Jim approaches the food truck and places a taco order. He hears the cook grumbling about his assistant calling in ill while he waits for his order. Jim spontaneously offers to assist the chef. Jim dons an apron and begins cutting vegetables when the cook approves. Amanda can't help but giggle when she sees Jim working at the food truck. She records and shares a video of him online with the comment, "From jobless to taco chef, all in one night." Jim gains instant fame once the video goes viral. He gets job offers from several businesses, including the food truck proprietor. Jim is overjoyed and is aware that Amanda is entirely to blame. He goes on a proper date with her, and they have a lovely evening. Amanda turns to Jim as they gaze up at the sky and comment, "You know, you're not so bad for a jobless guy who eats prunes." Jim chuckles, "I guess I owe it all to my empty stomach and your company." After they kiss, Jim realizes that his life has changed forever. Both a job and love have been found for him. All because of a stroke of luck and a plate of hot tacos. They found much in common as they enjoyed their supper and discussion. Jim had experience in sales and marketing, while Amanda was an entrepreneur with her little firm. After exchanging ideas, they realized they could collaborate to build a profitable company. The 5 minutes were over before they realized it, but they exchanged contact information and scheduled a subsequent meeting. A few weeks later, Jim got a call from Amanda with some noteworthy information. Their employment at her father's business, a sizable marketing and sales organization, was on the table. They were overjoyed and jumped at the chance. As they began to collaborate, Jim and Amanda's business concepts grew. They developed an original marketing plan that immediately captured customers' attention, and they were rapidly elevated to managerial positions. They put in much effort and contributed to the business's excellent success. Jim and Amanda were one day in their workplace, gazing out the window at the city's skyline. "Do you remember that speed dating event where we met?" Jim asked Amanda as he turned to face her. "How could I forget? That's where we discovered our true love, marketing," Amanda said with a smile. They exchanged high fives while laughing. They concluded that their chance encounter at the speed dating event was not a coincidence but rather the result of fate uniting them to learn about their mutual love of marketing and sales. From that moment on, they collaborated to create their own prosperous marketing business. Even better, they turned their speed dating encounter into a distinctive networking occasion for company owners and professionals. The story of Jim and Amanda serves as a reminder that unforeseen circumstances can occasionally result in excellent opportunity and even better love. They appreciated their accidental meeting and never saw how it all began. Jim and Amanda were astonished by their good fortune. They could launch their marketing firm, fulfilling a lifelong desire. They left their employment and dedicated their entire time and energy to their new business. Things were difficult in the beginning. Despite obstacles and failures, they never gave up. They poured their hearts and souls into their work, working non-stop day and night. Their diligent work eventually began to pay off. As their agency acquired popularity, they began to attract an increasing number of clients. Before they knew it, their small marketing and design firm had developed into a thriving company. Jim and Amanda were enjoying their success, but they couldn't help but remember their first encounter at the speed dating event. They smiled at the thought and appreciated the chance meeting introducing them to their true passion, marketing. They persisted in exerting themselves and their team to produce new and successful marketing initiatives. Their business grew and expanded due to their reputation for originality and meticulousness. Jim and Amanda felt they had finally discovered their calling when they looked back on their trip years later. And they appreciated the 5 minutes of speed dating that dramatically altered their lives. Jim and Amanda had numerous difficulties as they worked together. However, they always made each other laugh and kept things upbeat. Jim had a light bulb moment one day when he was formulating fresh marketing concepts. "We ought to launch a campaign where we dress up like huge fruit and roam the city handing out samples of our clients' merchandise." Amanda gave him a dubious glance. "The question, are you serious?" Jim gladly nodded. "Yes, give it some thought. Who wouldn't want to snap a photo with a gigantic banana or apple? Plus, it will attract attention and pique people's interest in our client's product." Amanda couldn't help but chuckle at how ridiculous everything was. "Well, let's go all out and get a watermelon costume, too, if we're going to do it." Chapter 5. Jim and Amanda wore their fruit costumes the following day and went out to the public. Passers-by photographed them, and the local news even featured them. But things took a humorous turn when some cheeky kids decided to pull a prank on them. Several kids came up behind Jim and Amanda as they went down the street and yanked down their pants, exposing their vibrantly colored, fruit-themed underpants. Even though Jim and Amanda were ashamed, they couldn't help but giggle at how ridiculous everything seemed. As they continued their marketing campaign, more people stopped to take pictures of them with their fruit-themed underwear. They quickly pulled their pants back up. Despite the peculiar circumstances, Jim and Amanda maintained their composure and professionalism. They soon realized they had discovered an untapped market for a fresh company concept. They started formulating ideas about how to satisfy the particular requirements of the dating ghost industry. After months of study and development, Jim and Amanda founded Ghostly Connections, a platform for ghostly singles to connect and find love utilizing cutting-edge ghost detecting technology and other paranormal techniques. They were surprised to see how rapidly the business took off and how many consumers it attracted, both alive and dead. They even agreed to produce a reality program based on their company with an extensive television network. "Who knew that our unsuccessful speed dating encounter would result in this?" Jim said to Amanda as they sat in their opulent office surrounded by spectral staff and clients. Laughing, Amanda retorted, "I guess love can overcome even death." Jim turned to Amanda as they approached the door and said, "You know what? We should repeat this." "Speed dating?" Amanda raised an eyebrow and inquired. "No, I mean going out for Italian food," Jim shook his head. "You don't get to eat such an excellent supper with a gorgeous woman daily." In response, Amanda chuckled and said, "Well, in that case, I'm in." They never went speed dating again, but they always remembered how they met and the unusual twist of destiny that brought them together. So Jim and Amanda continued to work together but also made time to enjoy each other's company outside of the workplace. Jim turned to Amanda as they approached the door and said, "You know what? We should repeat this." "Speed dating?" Amanda raised an eyebrow and inquired. "No, I mean going out for Italian food," Jim shook his head. "You don't get to eat such an excellent supper with a gorgeous woman daily." In response, Amanda chuckled and said, "Well, in that case, I'm in." They never went speed dating again, but they always remembered how they met and the unusual twist of destiny that brought them together. So Jim and Amanda continued to work together but also made time to enjoy each other's company outside of the workplace. Despite the surprising revelation, Jim and Amanda chose to continue working together and spending time together outside of work, and soon their bond grew even more profound. They complemented each other well, both in business and in life. However, as their relationship developed, they encountered a significant obstacle. Amanda's father, the company CEO, did not support their relationship because he believed it would interfere with their professional lives and pose issues for the business. Devastated, Jim and Amanda didn't want their personal lives to ruin everything they had fought so hard for and had accomplished together, but they also didn't want to give up on their relationship. Eventually, after much thought, they made the daring move to quit their jobs and start their businesses. They knew it would be challenging but determined to make it work. After several successful months, they had established a solid clientele and were well known in their field. One evening while they enjoyed their achievement over dinner, Amanda's father entered the eatery. He congratulated them on their achievement and apologized for his prior actions, admitting that he was wrong and that he could see how happy they were together in their personal and business lives. Jim and Amanda froze, not knowing what to expect. Jim and Amanda realized they had made the right choice in following their hearts and launching their own business as they all lifted a glass to their success. As Jim and Amanda's firm grew, they were given a significant job to complete. They had to develop a marketing strategy for a new product that would soon be released. Jim and Amanda realized this was their opportunity to excel. They spent weeks researching and formulating ideas until they had the ideal campaign, which they then submitted to their employer, who was impressed and gave them the go-ahead. Chapter 6. Jim and Amanda received accolades for their dedication and originality. They were even highlighted in the business newsletter and rewarded for their exceptional performance. The campaign was a big success. The product sold out in days. Jim once commented to Amanda across the table while they were enjoying their success at a posh restaurant, "I can't believe how far we've come. Who would have guessed we'd run into each other at a speed dating event and end up collaborating to make such progress?" "I know it's fantastic," Amanda said with a smile. "It seemed almost fateful that we had met. And who knows, we'll even launch our own company one day. The sky is the limit as long as we keep coming up with brilliant ideas like these," Jim chuckled. Unbeknownst to them, their boss overheard their conversation and was inspired by their drive. A few months later, he approached Jim and Amanda with an offer to invest in their business. They seized the chance and soon started their prosperous marketing firm, with their boss as their first client. "Fate did bring us together," Jim murmured to Amanda as they sat in their brand new office surrounded by their staff and the success they had created. "Who would have thought this would result from speed dating? We'll never know where life will take us, but as long as we're together, it's sure to be a fantastic ride," Amanda replied with a smile. They developed into successful co-workers and close friends as they did their jobs together. They frequently laughed together and made each other laugh, which made Jim look forward to going to work each day. In the break room one day, Jim and Amanda were eating their lunch when Amanda turned to him and said, "Hey, I know this may sound crazy, but I've always wanted to try skydiving. Do you want to do it with me?" Jim's surprised eyes widened. Although he had never thought of himself as a thrill seeker, he could not suppress the excitement growing inside him. He replied, "Sure, let's do it." Jim and Amanda consequently found themselves strapped into a small aircraft and traveling 14,000 feet on a gorgeous Saturday morning. Jim had a mixture of thrill and terror that he had never experienced before as they stood at the open door of the jet and prepared to leap. Amanda shouted over the wind's howl, "Ready!" They jumped out of the jet, plummeting towards the ground at breakneck speed after Jim inhaled deeply and nodded. Jim sensed release and joy as they plummeted, which he had never known. He had the impression that he was experiencing the present and was sure that he would never forget it. Both of them were beaming with joy when they finally touched down. Jim exclaimed, "That was amazing." With her excitement still pumping, Amanda nodded. She said, "I'm so glad we did that together." Jim gained a fresh appreciation for life's unforeseen turns as they returned to their car. He began to understand that sometimes, the best things in life required him to take chances and leave his comfort zone. Jim and Amanda continued to collaborate at the marketing and sales company, and their relationship got closer every day. They would talk about anything and everything during their lunch breaks. Jim once gave Amanda a small surprise gift. He believed Amanda would adore the adorable plush animal he had seen in a store. Jim received a warm hug from Amanda as she expressed her gratitude for his thoughtfulness and her excitement at the gift. Jim and Amanda both started doing small surprise gifts for each other after that day. Jim and Amanda's firm prospered throughout the years, and they earned a reputation as a power couple in the field. However, their co-workers recognized them as an adorable couple who enjoyed surprising one another with small gifts. In honor of their 5th wedding anniversary, Jim once presented Amanda with a lovely arrangement of flowers and a cuddly teddy bear. Amanda hugged Jim, who grinned at the gesture and felt fortunate to have such a caring and considerate partner. Jim said to Amanda as they sat down to eat, "You know what, Amanda? You're my cute little teddy bear. I can't imagine my life without you." In response, Amanda blushed and said, "And you're my big strong lion, always protecting me and making me feel loved." They both grinned, raising a glass to many more years of love and surprises. Jim and Amanda's friendship developed into a lovely romance over time. They started dating and quickly fell in love. Together, they delighted in visiting the city and dining at new establishments. Jim once sprung a romantic picnic in the park on Amanda. Jim pulled out a little package and dropped on one knee while they sat on a blanket together. When Amanda realized what was happening, her heart began to beat rapidly. The question, "Will you marry me?" Jim offered the ring and questioned. Amanda nodded and cried as she said, "Yes, of course." As the sun sank behind them, they shared a tender kiss. They realized they would be together forever on that day. They prepared a lovely wedding and asked their loved ones to share in their joy. "If it weren't for that speed dating event," Amanda commented, "that we might not have ever met," as they stood hand in hand. "It's amusing how fate operates." Jim gave her a smiling forehead kiss. "Just happy I swiped right on you, I say." A few months later, Jim proposed to Amanda, and they began preparing for their wedding. They decided to have a modest, private ceremony on the sand with only their closest loved ones present. A bird swooped down and landed beside them as they exchanged vows in the sand. It remained there, intently observing the ritual. The seagull made Jim and Amanda laugh uncontrollably, but they also thought it was a sign of their future together. The seagull ascended into the sky as they shared a kiss. Since then, Jim and Amanda have believed that seeing a seagull reminds them of their special day and the love that brought them together. They experienced a connection as they stood under the stars and looked up at the sky. Their hearts were racing in unison as they approached the seashore while holding hands. Jim turned to Amanda as they approached the shore and said, "I have something to ask you." He knelt and took out a jewelry box. As she saw him open the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, Amanda's heart began to race. She started crying as Jim inquired, "Amanda, will you marry me?" "Yes," Amanda exclaimed as she threw her arms around Jim and was overcome with joy. "Yes, 1,000 times over." Chapter 7. They were thankful that they had met at a speed dating event as they embraced each other in the moonlight. They realized they intended to be together forever as they gazed at the great ocean. Since that time, Jim and Amanda have collaborated on successful marketing campaigns while organizing their ideal wedding. They would return to the beach where they fell in love on the anniversary of their first encounter and relive the glorious event that had brought them together. As a result, Jim and Amanda's love tale was immortalized and served as a witness to love's enchantment and the influence of fate. They carried on creating their life together while constantly reminiscing about the fateful night they had discovered one another among a sea of strangers. They grew old together over the years, their love never wavering. They realized they had been blessed with a beautiful life, full of love, laughter, and adventure, as they stood on the same beach where they had engaged so many years before. They embraced one another and were thankful for all the tiny and large moments they had shared as the sun sank over the water. They knew their love story would be an example for others for many years as they watched the stars twinkle above them. Jim and Amanda felt as though the world had stopped for a moment as they shared an embrace beneath the moonlit sky, allowing them to appreciate the beauty and significance of this unique moment completely. Jim and Amanda held each other for a few seconds before stepping back and gazing into one another's eyes. They seemed to have always known they were intended to be together, and there was a sense of great love and understanding between them. Amanda's thoughts about their future together swelled as they stood there. She imagined all the experiences they would have, the locations they would visit, and the lovely family they would build. Jim grinned as he saw the expression in her eyes and realized Amanda was already making plans for their future together. He sighed, "I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." "Me too, Jim," Amanda remarked while blushing. "I never imagined I'd meet someone who enhances my personality so wonderfully. I'm eager to see what the future holds for us." Jim's thoughts began to wander back to the evening they had first met at the speed dating event as they carried on their conversation and took in the breathtaking view. He recalled being anxious and apprehensive about the situation, but he felt hopeful after seeing Amanda's grin. He was so happy he took the opportunity even though he had been apprehensive about asking her for a second date. And here they were, under the stars, engaged and in love. Jim and Amanda joyfully discussed their upcoming nuptials as they strolled back to their car while holding hands and enjoying the cold sand beneath their feet. They discussed several aspects of their perfect day, from the color of the flowers to the music they wished to hear. They knew they wanted it to be a celebration of their union and a portrayal of their personalities. And they both decided they wanted to exchange vows on the same beach where they had initially fallen in love. Jim and Amanda spent the following few months busy with wedding preparations and joint work at their marketing agency. Knowing they could rely on one another through life's ups and downs made them feel happy and fulfilled. And when the big day finally came, it exceeded their expectations. They realized they were extremely blessed to have found each other as they exchanged vows on the beach in the hot sun, surrounded by their loved ones. Even after some time had passed, Jim and Amanda continued to celebrate their anniversary by going back to the same beach and recalling the night they had first fallen in love. And while they stood there holding hands, they were thankful for the love and fulfillment they had discovered in one another. This tale offers us several important lessons. It primarily serves as a reminder of the value of taking risks and experimenting. Jim and Amanda would have yet to connect at the speed dating event, where they eventually founded a prosperous company and an enduring relationship. Second, the tale demonstrates the need for cooperation and teamwork. By working together, Jim and Amanda could produce creative ideas and have excellent job success. The narrative also emphasizes the significance of maintaining an open mind and following our passions. Jim and Amanda decided to start a firm and pursue their aspirations because they enjoy marketing. Last but not least, the tale serves as a reminder of the wonder of love and the magic that can occur when two people are intended to be together. Jim and Amanda's love story proves that true love can exist and develop in unexpected ways. Overall, the narrative inspires us to take chances, value collaboration, follow our passions, and have faith in the strength of love.